Every day, in every action, something is happening that you don't notice. And maybe you've never stopped to question it. The fact that you live your life like a sequence of automatic tasks, like a movie you didn't choose, may be more real than you imagine. It's as if you were living on autopilot, playing roles in a plot you didn't write or choose. Every day, you repeat gestures and choices that seem natural. But what if I told you that this is a trap? And more than that, this reality, this false sense of control, could be sustained by forces far beyond your understanding. Imagine a system that observes and knows your patterns, that manipulates your actions without you realizing it. It may sound like fiction, but this is the reality for many people, and it might even be yours. You wake up every day, follow your routine, interact with people, and make choices. But the truth is, you are stuck in a cycle that seems to repeat itself, as if you're being guided by invisible strings without even noticing. And the scariest part is that if you don't become aware of this, you'll remain trapped in this loop without even knowing how to escape. Waking up to this reality isn't easy. It requires courage, self-awareness, and above all, the ability to observe yourself from the outside, to see your actions, thoughts, and emotions, not as a part of you, but as something you're experiencing. And by doing this, you begin to realize just how out of control you really are. And that's when you begin to wake up. But for that to happen, you would need to see what's being hidden right in front of you. And perhaps the biggest surprise is that you're closer to this than you think. But there's a price to pay. And that price is understanding that the life you know is not real. Today, you'll discover how you might be stuck in a reality loop, living on autopilot without realizing it. We'll explore what it takes to break this loop and free you for a more authentic life, aligned with who you really are. What you will learn here has the power to transform your perception, help you free yourself from the traps that control your choices, and bring new clarity and direction to your path. But for this, you need to be willing to see what has always been right in front of your eyes. Many of us have the feeling that life happens without us. They wake up every day, follow their routines, make decisions. But if they stop to think how much of all this was really their choice, what could be their journey turns into a mechanical repetition of patterns that, by nature, don't make us question them. The truth is, most of the actions you take every day are not authentic choices, but rather reflections of past conditioning, external expectations, and the pressure the world puts on you. And this is where the theory of waking sleep comes in. What we call waking sleep is not, in fact, a regular sleep, but a condition where we are physically awake but mentally and emotionally distant from true consciousness. This state is maintained by internal and external forces that shape the way we think and act. Since childhood, we have been taught how we should behave, what we should desire, and what success looks like. The societies we live in, with their rules and conventions, play a crucial role in maintaining this automatic cycle. When you make a decision, whether it's choosing what to wear, what to eat, or even the direction you're taking in life, it's most likely that these choices aren't as authentic as they seem. They are being shaped by invisible influences. The pressure from social media, the desire to fit in, the expectations from a society that values productivity and material success above all. These forces create a pattern, a script that you follow without even realizing it. You act as though you're in control, but in reality, you're being guided by a set of rules you didn't write. And what's even more intriguing is that often you don't even realize you're stuck in this cycle. What you feel is your truth may not be exactly something you chose. It may be a construct, a reflection of the influences around you. The way you react to situations, your emotions, and even your own thoughts are largely stuck in a constant loop of stimuli and automatic responses. You simply do what is expected of you without realizing there is a real choice to be made. This is what we call waking sleep. You're awake, but your mind is not really in control. It's as if you're living in a dream, believing you're in charge, but not realizing you're just a spectator. This sleep state goes beyond the common perception of routine. It is sustained by an ego that feeds on these expectations, the desire for acceptance, and the false sense of security. The ego, this character created by external influences, keeps you trapped, guiding your actions in ways you rarely question. But the truth is, while the ego controls, your true essence, your true consciousness, remains submerged, waiting to be awakened. The reality you live in, then, ceases to be genuine and becomes a constant repetition, an illusion you've created without realizing. And this control, this waking sleep, is not random. There are systems, both internal and external, working tirelessly to ensure you stay stuck in this loop. And perhaps the most frightening thing is that some have already realized the impact that a collective awakening could have on these control structures. It's no coincidence that some truths have been suppressed, and sometimes hidden in plain sight. Now the question becomes even more complex. It's not just the ego that keeps you asleep. The system itself, the institutions that shape society, actively work to ensure that you remain in a state of unconsciousness. You may think you are in control of your life, but in reality, you are being constantly guided by external forces without even realizing it. The educational system, the media, and social expectations are all interconnected to reinforce this state of sleep. These forces create a cycle that you repeat day after day without ever questioning what's happening. There's no space for questioning, creativity, or for seeking a truly authentic path. Instead, we are taught to follow a script we didn't write, but that we follow often without realizing it. There is constant pressure for us to follow certain patterns and behaviors, conditioning us to consume ideas and realities that aren't our own. And this creates a collective sleep, a false sense of control where we are mere spectators in our own lives. The media is another key cog in this cycle. It doesn't just transmit information, it shapes the way we see the world, people, and even ourselves. When you watch the news, a commercial, or even a movie, you are bombarded with ideas about what is normal, what is beautiful, and what is necessary to be successful. These patterns are repeated endlessly until they become absolute truths in our minds, without us ever questioning their origin or validity. Now try to imagine the impact of this constant exposure. You start to believe that your happiness depends on material goods, social status, or a perfect appearance without realizing that these ideas have been carefully implanted like programming. In addition to this whole system, there is still the impact of social relationships. How many times have you felt pressured to follow certain behaviors or expectations to fit in? Friends, family, co-workers, all in some way, subtly or explicitly push us to shape our actions according to what is acceptable or normal in their group. And in the end, you start making decisions based on what is expected of you, not on what you truly want or need. And this disconnection between what you really desire and what others expect from you can create a vicious cycle where you live to please, to conform, without realizing that you are losing yourself in the process. This whole system is designed to create an illusion that you are living your own life, when in fact, you are just following a script that you never wrote. And in the process, you lose the true freedom to make authentic choices and live the life you truly desire. The awakening begins when you finally realize these forces around you. When you start questioning what has been imposed, noticing the patterns that govern your life, you take the first step toward freeing yourself. You begin to become aware of the ways in which control infiltrates, until you finally realize that you have the power to interrupt this cycle. What you're about to discover was so impactful that, At one point in history, some of the most powerful minds tried to hide it at all costs. The awakening of humanity is not just an individual transformation. It could be a threat to entire power structures. And of course, some have realized this and taken measures to suppress this knowledge. There is a little-known story about Gurdjieff, a man whose ideas challenged the perception of reality so deeply that for some, he became a dangerous figure. Gurdjieff didn't just question the nature of the human being, but suggested that most people live in a state of unconsciousness, unaware that their lives are governed by invisible forces and external manipulations. He believed that full consciousness could transform humanity in such a radical way that it would destabilize the foundations of what we know as society. And it wasn't just scholars and philosophers who noticed the potential impact of his ideas. The FBI, upon learning of Gurdjieff's theories, saw a huge danger. They realized that if a significant number of people woke up to this reality, the control and power structures could collapse. The simple idea that we have the power to change our perception and consequently our reality was something that could not be left in the hands of everyone. The awakening of consciousness was, and in many circles still is, seen as something subversive. It's no surprise that at certain times Gurdjieff's ideas were marginalized, even hidden or distorted to keep the masses in their current state. The concept of a collective awakening threatens any system that depends on people's passivity. Imagine a world where everyone is aware of the potential they hold, where each individual takes control of their own consciousness, freeing themselves from the collective illusion that keeps humans trapped in routine and conformity. The magnitude of this awakening cannot be underestimated, as it's not just about reaching a state of personal enlightenment, but about understanding the true nature of reality, and with that, redefining humanity's role in the world. But what does this mean for you? Well, it means that the ideas being presented can indeed have the power to transform not only your life, but also the way you perceive reality around you. The moment you become aware that there is something beyond what's been imposed on you, and this can be a profoundly transformative knowledge, you begin to understand why some would prefer that you didn't see. The awakening of true consciousness is dangerous because it changes everything, including your perception of control in the world. And when you wake up to that, life will never be the same. When you begin to realize that the reality around you is not fixed, but rather shaped by your perception, you begin to open up to a completely new understanding of the power you have over your own life. What many don't know is that this transformation, the shift in the way you see the world, has a fascinating parallel in quantum physics. A crucial concept in this field is the observer effect. Simply put, it describes how the act of observing a particle can alter its behavior. This goes against everything we thought we knew about reality, and, at the same time, reveals a deep truth about our ability to shape it. In quantum physics, scientists discovered that subatomic particles can exist in multiple states at once until they are observed. When an observer makes a measurement, the particle chooses a defined state. This challenging concept suggests that reality, at its most fundamental level, is a matter of possibilities until conscious attention is directed towards it. What seems like an illusion of a fixed reality is, in fact, a field of possibilities that crystallizes as soon as we pay attention. Now imagine that this principle doesn't only apply to subatomic particles but also to your life. Just as observing a particle alters its state, the conscious observation of your thoughts, emotions, and actions can transform your reality. When you wake up to what's happening in your mind and observe your life more attentively, you begin to change your perception of what's possible for you. It's as if your own consciousness is the observer that, as it becomes more present, starts to shape the reality you live in. When you observe your own automatic patterns, you begin to question what's real and what's just a reflection of old habits and conditioning. And when you do this constantly, you can awaken to new possibilities. In other words, when you begin to observe your own life with the same attention that quantum physics applies to studying particles, you realize that your reality, just like the particles, is not something fixed. It's shaped by the choices you make, the perceptions you have, and most importantly, the way you observe and connect with what's around you. This ability to transform your reality begins with awareness. The more you become aware of your actions, your motivations, your place in the world, the more power you have to shape what's around you. And this isn't just a change of perspective, but a reinvention of the way you interact with the world, an active process that can truly alter the laws governing your life experience. It's as if you are, at the same time, the observer and the creator of your own reality. The freedom we so desperately seek, the true transformation of our reality, begins with a simple yet powerful act: observation. You may think that what's happening around you is a response to something external, a stimulus, a situation, a person. But in reality, everything you experience is a reflection of what's happening inside of you. The first step to break free from the automatic cycle and begin waking up to a new perception of life is to stop, observe, and acknowledge what's happening in your mind and body without the need to act, change, or judge. This is where the practice of self-observation comes in. This practice is not just about noticing what you think or feel, but about distancing yourself from those thoughts and feelings, as if you were an external observer of yourself. It's not about analyzing or rationalizing, but simply noticing what's happening within you in the present moment. This distancing creates a powerful key to unlock the prison you might be living in, the prison of automatic behavior, programmed responses, and unexamined emotions. When you begin to observe your thoughts and emotions consciously, without identifying with them, you start to notice how many repetitive patterns govern your life. When you do this frequently, you'll start asking yourself, are these really my thoughts and feelings, or just automatic reactions to a world that shaped me? You'll realize that much of what you feel and think is not genuine, but simply a response to external stimuli or past conditioning. And at that moment, you've already begun to awaken. Observing without judgment is key, and when you observe your reactions, you should practice detachment. It's not about evaluating whether a thought is good or bad, right or wrong. It's simply about becoming aware that it's there. This practice creates space between who you are and who you think you are. It means that you don't define yourself by your emotions or thoughts. They are just parts of your experience. This space, this pause, is where transformation begins. Because when you become aware of a thought and don't identify with it, you take a step outside your own programming. This self-observation process also allows you to see the consistency of certain patterns in your life, patterns that often you didn't even know were there. For example, by observing how you react to a stressful situation, you might realize that you always act the same way, as if there were no choice. You recognize these patterns as something happening in you, not by you. And by doing this, you begin to see that no matter how much life seems controlled by external forces, there's a power within you to change this cycle. You stop being a victim of your automatic reactions and begin to take responsibility for your choices and perceptions. When you begin to see reality as it truly is, not as you were taught to see it, you begin to awaken to a fuller, more authentic life. This is what transforms, what liberates, and what goes beyond simple intellectual understanding. It's a real awakening. All this process leads you to a profound understanding of who you really are, something far beyond the masks you wear, the roles you play, and the conditioning society has imposed on you. When you allow yourself to look within and question the narrative you've built for yourself, it's as if you're opening the door to a new dimension of possibilities. Because true freedom doesn't come from an external revolution, but from an internal transformation, a wake-up call to the truth of your own essence. Until now, you may have lived as if you were a person shaped by the influences around you: family, society, work, cultural patterns. All of this contributes to the formation of a false personality, that version of you that plays roles and fulfills expectations without questioning what lies behind them. But remember, this process takes courage, because challenging what you thought was your identity is not easy. But it's through this challenge that you find true strength, the authenticity that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. And when you begin to act based on your essence, your life transforms. Choices stop being automatic reactions and begin to reflect your true nature, creating a reality aligned with what you truly want to live. And this is not just about changing your reality, but about becoming part of a greater movement, a collective transformation that starts with the awakening of a single being. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.